a time when the multiplex cinemas are full of terrible Terminator sequels and really rotten Michael Bay Transformers movies, it's good news to know that there's a new film out by Michael Mann, who is one of my favourite filmmakers.
How long did it take you to go through a bank?
About 1 minute, 40 seconds, flat.
Michael Mann made the best of the Hannibal Lecter movies with Manhunter, which is a wonderful piece of work. He made a terrific conspiracy thriller with The Insider, which is also the best celluloid argument for not smoking. And in Heat, he arguably gave us the definitive crime thriller of the 1990s. Now he's back with Public Enemies, the story of John Dillinger and his fight against the newly formed feds. It stars Christian Bale and Johnny Depp, both of whom I'm very fond of. And not only has there been a lot of public interest in the film, but the gods seem to have been on its side. In the case of Johnny Depp and co-star Marion Cotillard, apparently both of them were able to do the movie because of the writer's strike, which nixed other projects they were working on. So the writer's strike did do some good for Public Enemies. Then you look at the supporting characters, which include people like Pretty Boy Floyd and Babyface Nelson, played by Stephen Graham, who is rapidly shaping up as one of my favourite British actors. So all the signs look really good. So why the long face? Well, as you can probably tell, Public Enemies is something of a disappointment to me, and here's why. The first thing is that as somebody who's a diehard Michael Mann fan, I thought with Public Enemies that the director was treading water. Now, don't get me wrong. Michael Mann treading water is like most people swimming vigorously upstream. I would rather see Michael Mann when he's underperforming than most directors when they're doing their best work. But if you are, like me, a fan of Michael Mann, watching Public Enemies, you will get the sense that you have seen an awful lot of this done before and somewhat better. Take the visual style. What we get is handheld, edgy, in-your-face digital photography, which worked absolutely brilliantly with the ultra-modern Collateral, but seems slightly anachronistic and out of place with the big set pieces of Public Enemies. It's rather like somebody asked Lars von Trier to remake The Untouchables with predictably strange results. The second problem is Marion Cotillard. Not that she's not a great actress, she's a terrific actress. But as you know, if you know Michael Mann's films, his films are about guys. And generally, women are sidelined. In the past, he's got away with it. But once you bring on screen a presence as magnetic as Marion Cotillard and then don't have that much for her to do, you really notice. Marion Cotillard comes on as Dillinger's girlfriend and then disappears. And every minute she's off screen, you're wondering, where is that magnetic screen presence? And that's a real problem. But the real heart of the problem is this. At the centre of Public Enemies is a thesis that Michael Mann has worked and reworked time and again, which is that the cop and the crook are essentially two sides of the same character. Now, in the paper a week or so ago, David Thompson, the very, very fine film writer, wrote a piece saying, you know, it's total nonsense. Cops and crooks are not the same, and if you want proof, ask someone who's been mugged. To me, it doesn't matter whether that's really true. What matters is whether or not the idea is interesting in the particular movie in which it's being expressed. And in previous Michael Mann movies it has been. Think of the coffee shop showdown in Heat. Think of the extraordinary scene in Manhunter in which our hero puts his hand against the window, looks out into the city and realizes for the first time that he is starting to see through the eyes of the killer. Mesmerizing moments, absolutely magnificent cinema. In the case of Public Enemies, we are meant to believe that somehow Dillinger and his chasing Fed are two sides of the same character, and yet, why do we know this? Only because it's a film by Michael Mann. Only because what we know about the director tells us that that's always his main thesis. But despite all that intimate cinematography, despite the fact that the camera is getting right in close to the actors, do we ever feel that we know them, that we get to understand their insides, that we get to realize that they are in fact locked in an eternal struggle of good and evil, which is in the end the same thing? Sadly, not. My main problem is this. When you really come to love a director, you really start to set your expectations of their work very high. And when they fall below those expectations, the disappointment can be heartbreaking.